The story opens aboard a luxury yacht drifting across the calm waters of the Caribbean. A family of four is enjoying a peaceful vacation, completely unaware that their lives are about to change forever. Julia decides to cool off with a swim while her husband, Tom, and their son, Ben, stay on deck fishing. Their teenage daughter, Cassie, is absorbed in her music, headphones blocking out the world around her. As Julia floats in the water, she suddenly feels something brush against her leg. She pauses and scans the sea, but there's nothing in sight. Convincing herself it was only seaweed or her imagination, she tries to relax again. Moments later, the strange sensation returns, this time much stronger. Uneasy, Julia begins swimming back toward the yacht. Before she can reach it, something grabs hold of her leg and yanks her underwater. She fights desperately to stay above the surface, screaming for help, but her cries disappear into the open ocean. Cassie remains unaware with her headphones on, while Tom is focused on untangling his fishing line. Julia's strength quickly fades as waves fill her mouth and panic sets in. Eventually, Tom realizes his wife has been gone for too long. He rushes to the side of the yacht and spots her struggling in the distance. Without wasting a second, he steers the boat closer and dives into the sea. Reaching Julia just in time, Tom wraps an arm around her and fights to bring her back aboard. Together with the children, he manages to pull her safely onto the deck. Still trembling, Julia can't explain what attacked her. Since she never actually saw anything beneath the surface, everyone assumed she was caught in an unusually strong current. That evening, the family tries to put the frightening incident behind them by celebrating Ben's birthday with presents and cake. Later, Cassie steps outside to video chat with her boyfriend. During the call, he points his camera toward the skyline, revealing enormous storm clouds rolling across the horizon. Before he can explain more, the connection suddenly breaks apart and the screen freezes. Cassie rushes back inside to warn her parents. Tom believes the poor signal is simply because they're too far from shore, but before anyone can continue the conversation, a loud splash echoes across the water. The family steps onto the deck and watches a pod of whales swimming unusually close to the yacht. Tom explains that whales rely on Earth's magnetic field to navigate. During severe disturbances, they sometimes lose their bearings and end up heading in the wrong direction. It's rare, but not impossible. Before anyone can appreciate the sight, the yacht suddenly lurches violently. Ben loses his footing and crashes onto the deck. Concerned that they may have struck something underwater, Tom grabs his diving gear and slips beneath the surface to inspect the hull. Several tense moments pass before he resurfaces with a deep cut across his shoulder. While Julia cleans and stitches the wound, Tom admits he felt something enormous moving behind him. When he spun around, the boat's damaged propeller sliced into him. He never actually saw what was lurking in the water, but whatever it was far larger than any normal sea creature. The inspection reveals even worse news. The yacht has suffered serious structural damage and can no longer travel safely. Julia repeatedly calls for help over the radio while Cassie desperately searches for a mobile signal, but neither receives any response. Trying to lighten the mood, Ben suddenly jumps out wearing a frightening sea creature mask, startling his sister before everyone realizes it's just another one of his jokes. The laughter doesn't last long. The yacht's engine finally dies, leaving them stranded in the middle of the ocean. Julia briefly picks up static over the radio, but every transmission is drowned out by interference. Tom checks their remaining supplies and estimates they have enough food and fresh water to survive for about 4 days. Their only option is to wait and hope another vessel passes nearby. Without warning, the radar detects several fast-moving objects approaching. A strange humming sound fills the air. The family rushes outside just in time to witness blazing objects streaking across the sky before crashing into Earth in the distance. At first, everyone assumes they're witnessing a meteor shower. One fiery object slams into the ocean frighteningly close to the yacht. Tom desperately tries restarting the engines, hoping to escape the danger, but as another burning object crashes nearby, he notices something unexpected. These aren't meteors. They're satellites. One after another, artificial satellites begin falling from orbit, raining across the planet. The yacht's exhausted engine finally gives up completely, smoke pouring from beneath the deck. At the same time, powerful winds begin sweeping across the sea. The family retreats inside as the compass starts spinning wildly, refusing to point north. The storm rapidly grows more violent. Massive waves hammer the yacht from every direction while Tom struggles through the wind to retrieve life jackets stored outside. Moments later, the electrical system fails, plunging everything into darkness. Tom manages to restore temporary power, but almost immediately Julia suffers a sudden nosebleed. Dizzy and disoriented, she barely stays on her feet. While Cassie becomes violently sick, the radio remains silent. Then an unbearable high-pitched sound echoes across the ocean. The wind tears open one of the hatches, and within seconds the storm begins smashing windows throughout the yacht. Knowing they may not survive the night, Tom fires a distress flare into the black sky. Morning arrives in complete silence. Bruised and exhausted, the family slowly crawls out of the wrecked yacht, expecting to find a storm-ravaged ocean surrounding them. Instead, they freeze in disbelief. The sea is gone. As far as the eye can see, nothing remains but endless dry land. Their yacht now rests on a barren landscape littered with shells, rocks, and the remains of marine life. None of them can explain what they're seeing. Cassie repeatedly checks her phone for a signal, but every attempt fails. Nearby, Ben curiously pokes at a pair of lifeless crabs, still unable to grasp the scale of what has happened. Tom studies the yacht's compass and notices something impossible. The magnetic poles have reversed. He explains that Earth's magnetic field has flipped before, although the last major reversal happened hundreds of thousands of years ago. Somehow, this catastrophic event appears to have thrown the entire planet into chaos. The reality becomes too much for Cassie. Believing civilization has been wiped out, and fearing her boyfriend is dead, she breaks down emotionally and isolates herself inside the damaged yacht, refusing to let anyone comfort her. Meanwhile, Julia and Tom search through the wreckage, salvaging whatever food, water, and equipment survived the crash. Trying to stay hopeful, Ben ties the balloons from his birthday celebration to a rock, hoping someone in the distance might notice them. Back inside the cabin, Tom makes one last attempt to use the radio. This time, someone answers. A calm voice introduces himself as Now, the captain of a submarine. His vessel also became stranded when the oceans vanished. After studying his instruments, he believes the magnetic reversal forced the water away from the coastlines, flooding other parts of the planet instead. Even more alarming, he predicts the process will eventually reverse itself. When the oceans return, the incoming water will create floods capable of destroying everything in their path.